this video, we're going to show you how to fit the full CSF cooling package on E92 M3. As everyone with an E92 M3 knows, these do get up to some temperature, especially in drifting. Power steering is a problem. When we took this to Poland a couple of weeks ago, I drove it loads, and eventually I got the power steering fluid so hot and boiled so much that I was losing power steering under like 4,000 RPM. So CSF have come on board with the full cooling package to improve our temperature situation. This is the engine oil cooler, this is the power steering cooler, and that is the gearbox cooler. So along with that, we have a couple of fresh bottles of 1060, an oil filter, and another thing that we'll show you is the intricacies with an E92 M3 to do with fitting the cooling package and what you can and can't do with earlier and later car, hence why we have late oil lines. We're going to get on with the process, take you along, show you the how-to, and show you the improvements afterwards. Under here we have carbon fibre. Right, so to start with, this is all in the way. So you've got to get your, hopefully, Venturi carbon intake off. This cowling off. You've got to get the fan out, which is a bit awkward. It's a bit of a wiggle to get it out. So fan out, wheels off, arch liners out, and then you can pull the bumper off. That'll kind of gain you access to all of the coolers. Right, Carl, are you ready?
Very excited.
Now we've got the intake stuff off from above, we'll get the bumper off. So bumper is held on by 4 bolts on the top. They are T27 or T30, you'll find out when you get there. And then in here you have 2 bolts that bolt the wing to the the bumper to the wing. Normally from standard they are an 8mm like screw, but we change them out for a nut and bolt because we're drifting and the wheel hits things and then it rips the screws out. It's really annoying. So undo those quickly, and then we've got an under tray. We've got a pinnacle under tray on this, which is aluminium, goes from the bumper back to the subframe. So we'll pop that out and then go from above, get the 4 bolts above, and then the bumper can come off. Don't forget your parking sensors, otherwise you'll rip them off and then you'll be angry when your fault code comes up every time you turn the car on. And it goes bong. Right, now, stop. When you pull the bumper off, be careful to pull it off, and be careful with these side bits, because if you don't get it all the way off and you have to go back on to jiggle something, that side bit will go over the wing and it will scratch your wing and then you'll be really upset. Ready? I'm half off and then we can do parking sensors. Now you got bumper off. Next thing to do is drain all the fluids. So if you're doing the full cooling pack, you're going to want to drain coolant, engine oil, power steering fluid, and that's it. The other cooler you don't need to drain it. If you look under here, on your stock radiator, right there, there's a little blue thingy, little drain bung. Pop that out and you can drain your coolant out of your radiator through that. Obviously engine oil, I would advise doing an engine oil service at the same time as this. If you just done it or whatever, you could just top it up afterwards, but drain that out of the usual places, out the sump. Power steering fluid, there's no really easy or nice way to drain power steering fluid. So what I usually do is on this side, so you pop this out of the way, this aluminium tray, and on this side you've got the 2 lines that go from the stock cooler. They're like on top of each other and they've got standard fittings. You push a line, you push the clip in, pull the fitting off. That'll pretty much drain the whole system. And then once we get to the end and we put the new cooler on, I can show you how we refill it and bleed the system and clean the system out to get rid of all the old crap and metal that's probably in there. Beware, if you screw too much, it gets wet. Oh.
We'll be here a while.
What tune? Get wet. Now, at this point, you'd be like, why is my car not blown up? I've got no coolant in it. Then you take the cap off. Yeah, well, he's a plumber. Then you take the cap off, the top of the bottle, and then she'll gush. Can't reach it. Get your safety qualified steps, pop the cap off, and let the river flow. See ya. If your coolant's not very old, reuse it, because it is actually good coolant. If not, go to BMW and buy genuine coolant. Other than that, don't use anything else. At the same time, obviously this only applies to if you're doing the full coolant package. Drain your engine oil at the same time, because you might as well. So this front one here you can see, this is your engine oil cooler. You have big wide one up here you can't quite see. That is actually really small. That's the power steering cooler, and it also sits directly behind this, so it gets like no airflow. Then behind that you have aircon rad, which we're leaving, and then behind that you have the coolant radiator, and then on the side here you have another cooler, which is gearbox. When you're doing a service on your M3, don't be a cheapskate. Buy genuine oil filters. That's all I'm going to say. They're not even that much more expensive. These are like £28 from BMW, and they come with the O-rings, copper washers for both your sump plugs. Just buy real ones. When you're doing the oil, don't forget this has 2 sections to the sump. It's not just the rear one, it also has the front one. Some people say the front sump doesn't hold much oil. Well, we've just drained a litre out of the front, so always do the front. Right, so one main important thing you need to bear in mind when you're doing cooler kit on E92 M3. Early M3s, 2007 through to I think 3/4 of the way through 2008, don't hold me to that, but it's something like that, might be a bit of 2009, have different oil coolers and different oil cooler lines from the engine to the oil cooler. So you have to bear that in mind. Pretty much all of the cooler kits are designed for the later lines, which are slightly bigger. So you have to get the later line so as it fits properly and doesn't leak. So you have here. Now, this car is right on the crossover time. Checked with the VIN, and again, that doesn't really answer any questions because it kind of says that it actually says on there that one line is a new one and one's an old one, but you can't have that. So I bought the lines anyway, just in case. If not, I'll take them back. You get them from BMW. In the description, we will put in there the part numbers for different things you need, like the oil filter part number from BMW, so you can just go there and give them part number. And same for the late oil lines, if you need that. And then we'll have links to the CSF stuff as well, which you can buy from us at 365 Performance, or from whoever you want to if you don't want to buy from us for whatever reason. Part number for one of them, part number for the other one. Right, get a torch. Come under here. So you're taking your aluminium tray off from underneath. Aluminium for the American people. You've drained your engine oil out of both sumps. Up there, if you look closely, forget about the camera focusing, you focus. Up here, next to the radiator, there's 2 lines. They are the power steering cooler. So these flexi lines, you have to push them up, pull the clip towards you, and then you can pull the line off, and then you'll get covered in power steering fluid. It's really fun. Now you drained everything from underneath. We brought the car back down for easier access. If you look down there, I can see what I was trying to show you from below. These 2 lines are power steering cooler lines. So wiggle them around a little bit to free them up, push it in, and then pull that clip there back towards the line, and it will come off, and then it will drain power steering fluid everywhere all over the place. I can see. Okay, right, ready? Just gonna gush. Oh fuck. Right, when you do this, don't do what I've just done and do the top one first. Always do the bottom one first.
Drains on the bottom.
Radiator, while that's draining a bit. Radiator, so you need to get this fan out, OEM fan, absolute beast of a fan, but it's also big and really annoying. Plug this side, 2 little clips. Like I was saying, it's a bit fiddly. Oh, no, come off. I haven't had this one off before. It's probably not been off in about 40,000 miles. I should have got a larger power steering bottle while doing this, but I didn't, so that can be for another day. That can be another upgrade. Fan, you have a Torx bolt here, and then you pop this off, which can just about wiggle out of the way. And then if you look down here, there's no bolts, there's just this little clip there. So you got to pull that out of the way, undo the Torx bolt on this side, and then the whole thing lifts out, and you kind of have to come at a bit of an angle, get it past, and then straight, and then out. Now for the fight. What I would advise is this top radiator hose, pop the clip that's on top of it by the oil filter housing, pop that off, just so as the coolant line can come out and out the way, because otherwise it is a pain in the bottom. So you pop that clip out, that one, and it makes your life way easier if that coolant line can flex out the way a little bit. Hold that little line, the return line, to the bottom out of the way, and then we wiggle. And you kind of find the route it wants to go. Right. its own. It's really awkward. Right, so once you've wriggled and fiddled with it, you got to this point, then you can get your fan out. Next thing we've got to do, coolant's already drained, so that's good. So the next thing is up here, you have a Torx bolt right in there. You can't quite see, but it's behind these aircon lines. And then you also have one on the opposing side, right in here. OEM clips, the OEM rad hoses, they will always be really tight. So pop the clip out, wiggle the hose back and forward, give it a bit of a muck twist and a pull and a muck twist. But you want to keep these because obviously you're going to use them for your CSF radiator, which fits into stock. It's going. Okay, here we go. So, right, rad hose off. The only thing to check on these, the O-rings inside get a bit hard over time. It's best to check the O-rings, dry out that hose and Vaseline the O-rings before you put them onto the new radiator so they don't leak. And you've got to get the bottom hose, same thing, clip off and then wrestle with it like it is a man with an S body on reps. Yeah, you heard that. So yeah, anyone who's running reps, wrestle this hose like it would be them.
I'm running reps.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'd do to you.
Do I have to pay you?
No, you have it free. Free wrestling. Fucking bastard.
People pay like $5.99 a month to watch that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I know. Here you get it for free. I'm covered in all the fluids. Takes a lot of wrestling to get a rep boy off. So, while Carl's wrestling with that, the oil cooler that sits down in this wheel arch for the gearbox, once you've undone the mounts in the wheel arch, you've got a 13 on this little bracket, which clamps the hard lines to the hard lines to the flexi lines for this cooler. When you take this oil cooler outside, you need to be careful. These two silver O-rings are for the line, not the cooler. So you need to make sure you keep them, put them on the line, clean up the lines, like clean everything with brake cleaner and stuff. Put these back on the lines when you put them into the new cooler. Otherwise you'll be having a bad day. Once you're done and you've ran the car, you can then top up your gearbox fluids because obviously you're going to lose that amount, which isn't a lot, but it's enough. We've got the gearbox cooler out and we've got the engine oil cooler out. So now we've got the radiator lines off. We're going to unbolt the radiator from the aircon and then pull the radiator out. There we go.
And then with relative ease, your radiator comes out.
This bit's pretty awkward. Power steering cooler loops into the plastic housing this side. You have to basically wiggle the aircon rad out the way a little bit, which it has play because these are plastic, so it's got room to do that. Then you wiggle the power steering cooler out of that side, and then on this side, you take the whole thing out downwards, like this, in this. Once you're out of the car, you then can pop these lines, pop that little catch off there, pop that out, pop this out of this, and then with your aftermarket cooler, you then have to get the aftermarket cooler to fit into this. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of trimming into this to get it to fit nicely. Once you've got everything out and it's all stripped down and it looks like a nice mess, the next thing you need to do is clean all the fluids you inevitably have spilt because it's impossible to do it without spilling some. So you've got gearbox oil and some coolant this side, power steering fluid and coolant this side, and a bit of engine oil underneath. So brake cleaner, airline is the easiest way to clean it all off. Last thing we've got to do, and this is only on early cars, get the oil feed and return lines from the engine to the cooler out so as we can put our new ones in. You need a 13mm, and you have, just like the same at the bottom on the cooler, you have two 13mm nuts at the top that hold the oil cooler line flange to the engine. So get both those nuts off, and then you can pull, and then down here, if you look down there, you have a 10mm nut there, which holds both the lines to that bracket. Undo that, the two 13s up the top here, and then the lines will come out. Now, I normally try and keep these in orientation like this, because then when you put the new ones in, you can get your new ones. Now again, check O-rings and whatnot. Make sure that you have O-rings in the right places. That one, the top one, has the tab that goes upwards, which goes over to left hand side of the vehicle, and then the other one has the tab going the other way. So you see there's no O-ring on that. So there should be an O-ring in the end, probably on the end of the stock line. Bit of oil on there to help them seal, and then wash them onto your new lines. Make sure your O-ring's not got any dirt and stuff on it. Make sure your O-ring's not getting twisted while you're putting it on. There you go. You can now get both your lines linked up roughly how they need to be. It's pretty self-explanatory. They kind of sit nicely together like that. And then you can get the OEM clamp off of the stock lines. First one, which is the side johnny, goes in there like that on the driver's side. That is your gearbox cooler. So the benefit with CSF is they are a better flowing core, slightly more capacity, and yeah, they just do extra cooling things. Here we have engine oil cooler, big johnny. Compared to the stock run, it is a thicker core, taller core, and again, much better flowing, much better cooling capacity. Power steering cooler, the core is probably another third bigger than the stock one. This is a complete drop-in unit for factory cooling system, CSF. Again, slightly larger core than stock. As far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure these are triple pass as well, but it all fits into factory location. Right, so that goes back in. Those go in there like stock. This is the bit where you have to trim. If you look at where this sits, so that wants to sit in there, and then the position that that sits, which is about there, you have to trim a little bit out the top here for where this bend goes. Making more stuff. Oil cooler is now in, as you can see. Engine oil cooler is in, just do out the bolts. Make sure you lube up, never go in dry when there's a fragile seal involved. No one wants a split rim. That is the engine oil cooler done. But make sure you paint mark your bolts so as you know what you have and what you haven't tightened up. So you can come back to it later and not be worried that you forgot something. If you've tightened it up, mark it. Power steering cooler is ready to go in. So as you can see here, clips in there. You just have to, where these kink, because it's a larger core, you have to trim a little bit out of the top of there, and then it clips back in. And then that clip there, you just take a little bit of the material out the back, and that allows it to clip in there nicely. I would advise getting this into the car before you put the engine oil cooler in, because it's much easier. But you can do it afterwards. It's just a bit awkward. Get that back into the right place, and you can get your little rubber locator in. Yeah. And that all holds in the right place then. Now we can put the aircon rad back in. Get the rad in first so you're not going to damage the rad. You've already done the engine oil cooler lines. We've got our brand new LCI lines in there. So yeah, we can get the rad back in. In fact, before I put the rad in, I'm going to do the oil cooler on this side, so it's easier to reconnect those lines as well. So, power steering cooler, engine oil cooler and gearbox cooler are in. Last thing, radiator. So this is a bit more in-depth in terms of mountings than the stock one, because you have these little slots that the fan goes into, and then the bolts go in there to squash it in place. It is a bit awkward to get in, I'll be honest. The radiator is back in, everything's located, both sides. Now, once you've done that, you've got a bolt, little bolt at the top, put the OEM bolts back in to bolt the radiator in at the top, the bottom slots into the brackets from factory. And then we get the fan back in, the fan slots into those three slots we showed earlier, and then you put the three M6 10mm bolts in to locate the fan, we can put fluids back into everything and bleed all the fluid systems. And then we just got to go underneath, clip up all the lines back into the right place. Once all the fluids are done, we can put bump back on and go for some leisurely skids on our private road. Right, cooling pack is installed. It's a bit of a wrestle. You'll work it out as you go along, but as you can see, if you look down here, we have CSF power steering cooler, we have CSF oil cooler, we have CSF gearbox cooler, which you can't quite see, and CSF shiny boy radiator. So we have the whole package in there. That should drastically improve our coolant temps like it did on the track car, because the ring car used to do 3 laps and then the oil would be at like 130. Now I could do 7 laps of the ring and it would still only be at like 125. So this should help with our big skids. Hopefully we'll make our power steering fluid survive a little bit longer. The next thing to do with power steering fluid will be to get a bigger bottle, but that'll be the next mod. Everything's in, now it's time to get fluids back in, bleed all the systems, put bumper on and give her a fucking rip. Oh, also, we've done an oil filter. If you can't do an oil filter, you shouldn't be doing this job. Just saying. And we didn't show you how to put the fan stuff back in because you took it out. Put it back in the same way. I think we're cooking. Hopefully cooking a bit less. So, let's put coolant in there, power steering fluid in there, engine oil in there, and gearbox oil down there. We have bled all the fluids. We now have fresh power steering fluid, coolant back in, fresh engine oil, gearbox oil has been topped up, and yeah, it's ready to go. We've got no leaks, holding temperature, so now we're going to get bumper back on, put the intake back on, and we can take it for a rip.
It's got a dog here.
Pretty doggy.
You want to behave? No.
She's not bad.
She's bad.
Bad bitch.
Easy.
It's just... Right, we're all done. So, you can't see it, but it's all in there. Because BMW packaged everything so tightly you can't see anything. So yeah, coolant radiator, power steering cooler, gearbox cooler, engine oil cooler, the Venturi goodness. It's all done, all the fluids are bled. We're going to take it for a rip and see if it's improved our temps situation. Fitted the whole kit, took the car for a rip and it felt good, and then headed up to the Crusade Arena at Silverstone. Drifted the M3 in the arena loads, put it through a load of crap, as you can see in the clip, and it was absolutely mint. Cooling kit works perfect, the temps were down like 10 degrees compared to what they were before on the oil and coolant. Power steering was better, that wasn't getting hot after a few runs. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, hope you enjoyed the how-to, and if you need your M3 to cool better, hit up CSF or us, get that kit fitted on your car.